We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Tevin West, host of the Only Child Syndrome podcast that you're about to tune into. But before we get on that, I wanted to let you know that this fourth episode is a older episode. Actually, I did the episode March 1st, 2023, and I was in a different headspace at the time, and I was thinking different things, and let's see here, March, April, May. Yeah, my son hadn't even been born yet, so I was waiting on that to occur. And but yeah, I mean, I'll talk about my personal life. That was at the time of the recording, which was March 1st, 2023. And I'll just talk about current events concerning Russia, China, positions in the leadership at the time, and a few other things. So I just wanted to kind of give you that because I kind of get right into it. I don't really like give you a layout. So I just kind of wanted to give you that respect since you had the respect and the decency to show up and listen, tune in. So without further ado, the Only Child Syndrome podcast, episode 4 for you, queued up. Probably well off in their country, if not like for real middle class. So that's the Europeans I met in college, and Central and Central Americans and South Americans. And they all said, even though they had what they needed in their country, they said, we came over here in America because there's better opportunities and your degrees mean more. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Only Child Syndrome podcast. I'm your host, Tevin West. When we come to this podcast, we'll be discussing sports, current events, random topics, special topics, and the human experience. We'll have special guests on from time to time, but for the most part, you got my 6 and I got yours. So let's get started. Came out here to really talk about something that's not made up. My life. On this podcast today, it's very personal. And the topic is really like just talking about overall personal things that we go through in life, and I'll share my experiences while also relating to yours, probably, maybe. I used to journal quite a bit around 2016 to 20. It wasn't like an everyday thing, but I wrote enough pages in there I could probably make a book. And it was a really good exercise for me to get kind of like all my thoughts out. But my mind is just like so cluttered because I constantly put like clutter in it, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things I wanted to tell you, like, it doesn't matter like what kind of parent raised you. At the end of the day, it's not a responsibility to make sure that you end up a decent person or a person who is disciplined or not. It's up to you. They can give you like the fundamentals, maybe the tools of what they learn, but in order to make it stick, like, it's you. And that's just me. It's like, my parents gave me what they thought was best, which was comfort and life of ease. And I would say that because of that, it's a direct result from happening. Mind you, it was just the way that they felt it was to raise their kid. You know what I mean? And what happened was I've been through life a lot lacking discipline. As I speak to you right now, I lack discipline, like, just on so many levels. And man, I just wanted to pour that out because it's been in my mind and I've been making excuses for it for the longest. And I needed to get that out in the open so that way like I could state like what's truthfully going on with me. I feel like it's just a lack of discipline. Um, and that causes lack of desire, lack of and I'll tell you one thing, man. The one thing that was keeping me disciplined, was soccer. And I recently cut ties with the organization I was with. Um, and they just were unprofessional in so many regards. Um, but I wanted to be a professional athlete so bad. And I didn't really cross that bridge that I was just willing to say, like, oh, yeah, this is professional. That's what came out of my mouth when people ask me. And they pay you, but it's not much at all. And it's like barely gas money, if that. If it's gas, it's just gas money. Yeah, it's about gas money. And that's like the max amount you're allowed to make. And when those payments stop coming in, it's like, dude, that's what we're due. And if you can't give us what we're due, then like I don't know if I'm willing to take this anymore, basically. So just it was very unprofessional, and in turn, like it was like kind of demotivating me, I guess, because when I first got into this, I was really in shape. I still had some discipline issues squeaked away in there, but I was killing it, and I was doing so well that I overtrained and just kind of like never recovered from there. And but I was able to give it up, give that addiction, that dream up. By the way, I would never put a damper on anyone's dream. By the way, so if I didn't make it to the pros, to the heights, that doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean that my son can't. It doesn't mean that the girl over there in the park that goes, training at the local club, doesn't mean she can't. It means that I tried it, and I tried it my way, I guess. Yeah, I would say that, and it didn't work out. So, and you hate to hear that. Like you hate to hear that. You hate to hear yourself tell that like it didn't work out. But I did a lot of things that led to that. You know what I mean? Maybe if I had to stay clear of some certain things and had a little discipline, showed a little restraint, then maybe. But it didn't, and I didn't. So that's where it leaves you, and you have to pick up the pieces from that. And what you have to realize is that life, it truly does go on. It can go on for the better or for the worse, and you have to learn how to kind of like find another spot in that if you like it. Now, me personally, I'm not really a fan of the game of soccer right now. I'm not really a fan of it. I just don't like it. That doesn't mean it's not good. But for me, it's like I don't want anything to do with it. But it might be later on, like with my son. My son might be into soccer and or however many kids I have, and I get to either make that decision to invest in their life and not, or I cannot, or I cannot let it fall by the wayside, right? Um, I just hope that like my children don't grow up idolizing sports like I did because I chased it to a fault. I feel like I feel like there were plenty of signs, uh, that I didn't. I was just kind of hanging on last leg, but I got so inspired. I got so inspired because my best friend is, I would say, he's full time professional because of the way that the organization, cares for him in the on season and off season. So and they get paid, and he gets paid a good amount of money to kick a ball around. So for me, and he's done it at two other previous places on that level. So it was just like I I really had a desire to go push towards the higher because my friend had inspired me. He was doing it. He was not around my age, so just got back into shape and all that stuff. But it's just like my friend also told me I should be proud because I was able to secure two professional contracts. But it's like when you see the things that I've seen in that level, it's like it doesn't feel very professional. But yeah, I hope my kids never idolize the sport to the level which I did. I hope they just you know teeter off and if they're gonna make it, I hope they make it. Like I hope if they're doing that, if they are, you know, pretty much all hands and knees for the sport, I at least want them to make it at the top. I at least want to do that, but you have to kind of like I don't know. I think that God allows people gives people certain gifts, but you can also work for those gifts. But it just if those combination of things work together, obviously there it is. But it's like if if not, and I don't want to say like get lucky. That's not what it is. It's not what it is. It's not luck. But you know, even in all that, like I don't even care if they go to college or not. I just like get a trade. You know what I mean? You got to have some type of like fundamental education, or like you're really good at something like a trade. You know what I mean? So if my daughter or son is like they want to be a musician, it's like okay, that's fine. But I think that you need a trade. Just something, you know what I mean? It's not college. It's not college. It's in this country. I feel like there's three ways: it's entrepreneur, trade, or like office work. When you're talking about like advance and promotion type stuff. So it's like be a musician, that is a trade, but you need something and with a hobby until you can find a way to make income for you. And so you know you know also I just want to say like there's no like oh, I got a pod now. So it's like there's no there's no there's no right or wrong to it, I guess. It's like yeah, there's a lack of discipline, but it's like whenever you as a person get in that particular situation, I feel like it's important to stop what you're doing and seek guidance. And I think that's why I'm going to a therapist again because I stopped going. Like I was doing it and I stopped. And I started doing other things. But I didn't stop. And I've stopped doing other things, but then I got back on them. And, like there's no consistency. There's not really a desire to stop. And so I'm going to a therapist to see if I can, you know, legitimize this stuff. It's legit, but then just like make proper steps to change behavior, because the best apology is change behavior. Um, I really think that, well, it's less potty now, it's journaling now. It's just like, it's like natural journal. It's like technology journaling to me, basically. So it's like, if, no, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. What's going on today, man? Uh, are we in a war with Russia right now? Is that what's going on? Are we in a war with Russia and China? Are we fighting a battle on? Well, technically we fight that on one front, but are we in a battle with the East? That's what it looks like. A lot of grandstanding, a lot of Cold War tactics, a lot of real war actions, real wartime stuff going on in Ukraine. Um, that's a very unfortunate situation for either party. But like that's what I want to know. Like, are we in a war with uh with Russia and China? And is Russia on the same side as China? Right? Did certain people hand certain people kings to the kingdom, knowing that they might not have the ability to facilitate, sleep at the wheel. Talking about America, by the way. Like, did we vote in a president? Did we give the keys to the kingdom to a guy that we saw wasn't fit? Do I believe in voting? You gotta have a yes or no answer in it. I don't. I don't. If I do believe in voting, it's because of one situation. When Barack Obama was president, for the years that he was there for 2 terms. So 8 years is of my knowing that my mother was was making ends meet. It was hard for her. She's a single mother too. And by the time Donald Trump got president, it things turned around for my mother. So I know that story to be true. So I know that's because it's voting, right? But I don't know. I just don't know. Period. I'm not really sure about it. It's. I guess it's not a black and white answer. I guess it's a gray area. But I really don't know. You know. Um, yeah. Um, if if we are in war with Russia and China, then it's best to be the person that supplies than dies, right? Like with a proxy. So if we are at war right now with Russia and China, China is trying to take and swallow back up Taiwan. Russia is trying to regain control of Ukraine, which is a spiritual center, recognizes as a spiritual center because I'm pretty sure that when the uh, Muslim Caliphate or the Muslim Caliphate came and overran the Byzantine Empire, and I don't know what date, but the people that were supposedly in clergy or just religious people, which were the Eastern Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox Church, members of them and their clergy took the religion of Eastern Orthodox Christianity to further, or I'm not sure geographically where Russia is to China, but east somewhere. And it happened to be in Ukraine. And so that is why Russia recognizes Ukraine as a spiritual center. It's because the first flag that Eastern Orthodox Christianity planted after the Muslim Caliphate sacked Byzantium. The flag was planted in Ukraine. I'm not sure which state, which territory, but that's why Russia recognizes them as a spiritual center. Taiwan was a part of China many years ago, and they broke off, and I'm not sure why, but China wants them back. We let them swallow up those countries, they might make a move into other territories. We've seen this in history before. I would fair to say it may be a little more than certain, but we're not willing to let that go to chance. I don't think that if we went to war, I don't think we'd win it. I don't think if boots on the ground. This country is not like it was in World War II, where you had people pitching in. I'm not sure if the spirit of this country would pitch in if we went on boots on the ground. I don't know. It's too much distrust. It's too many people slamming America. How do I feel about America? I was born here. America is the greatest country on earth. People still swim across all kinds of waters and fly all kinds of miles and put themselves in all kinds of uncomfortable in impossible places to get here. You know, I've talked to my teammates who are in college, and they were very, I would say those guys were probably well off in their country, if not like for real middle class. So that's the Europeans I met in college, or and Central Americans and South Americans, and they all said, even though they had what they needed in their country, they said, we came over here in America because there's better opportunities and your degrees mean more. Yeah, America is the greatest. The dollar's still up there, like number one or number two most fire currency right now, most hot commodity. Yeah. So I think America's great, but not everybody else feels that way in this country. So, hey, it's whatever. I think back to our very gray area times of slavery. It's very, how you say it? It's like a tattered history, and like we're not gonna let it go. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of terrible. It's pretty terrible. But there's other issues at hand. The government's blatantly lied to us, still lying to us about things that are going on in the country. It's a lot of distrust, a lot of weird media outlets lying, not telling the truth. A lot of politicians making money hand over fist, and you know, adding to their coffers, not being public servants, and then it goes down the chain. Uh, it's a interesting recording, but I wanted to get that out. So have a nice day.